Hi, my name is Genesis Collins, but you probably already know that because this is my YouTube channel and it's really small, so you probably won't come across it naturally unless you're looking for it or looking for me. Tonight we're going to be reading from my book Pharaoh, chapters 1 through 5. If you would like to read the rest of this book, it is on Kindle and on Amazon, and the link to that is in my bio. Now, we're going to take our time with this book tonight because it is one of my favorites. I'm very, very introspective about this book because it is a book about loss and it is a book about love and it is all of those things all at once. And it's the kind of book that is going to make you cry and laugh and also think, oh shit, did they really just say that? And it's one of those books where you have to read it to experience it because it is an experience. And I honestly think a lot more people would enjoy it if they just gave it a chance. It is one of my favorites. I wrote it in the beginning on Wattpad all of those years ago, like 2014, I think, when I very first started my account. It at first was just a passing idea and I think had 5 total chapters from beginning to end just because I was such a newbie at writing. But the chapters were all like 5,000 words long, so they were not small at all. In fact, it was actually really messy. But it was a good book. It had good bones, and when I rediscovered it on my Kindle journey, when I was going through all of my drafts and all of my soon-to-be lovely hardcovers, just like this one, I found it and I couldn't let it go. I needed to finish it and give it a more complete ending and revamp the series because I really like this one. I feel like it should hold a lot more space in my collection than it gets to. So hopefully making this video will draw some attention to it. I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, vampires in general, much less black vampires or black gay vampires, but I feel like if we have room for Brad Pitt at this table and the whole Interview franchise, then we can absolutely make room for Amenhotep and Ra and then his reincarnation Ray. I think that this book is going to have you up in arms and yelling at me for introducing this to you without having the second book ready to go yet. The second book is called Dig. It will be out at the end of this year, early next year, and I am so excited to bring that one to the table because it goes so much further into detail than this one will allow you to get. Now, the first 5 chapters of this book are all set in ancient Egypt. I feel like it brings a really interesting vibe to this book, but it does have the duality of being in the past and in current day simultaneously. I highly encourage you to seek this one out and read it in your own time because the current modern day characters are so refreshing compared to your traditional vampire book. You're gonna have to read it to understand. You're gonna love this one. Sorry about that. Before I go off on an even bigger tangent about how much I love this book, I'm just going to point out that as I open it, it is at an odd angle. It's because its spine has never been cracked. This has been sitting on my shelf like a trophy since I got my author copy, which is what this is, an author copy. I love it. I cherish it so much. It has its own little spot on my shelf next to Booksmart and all of the other hardcovers that I have available over on Kindle. Again, just check them out. You're not going to regret it. And this, I think, is my most reasonably priced book for a hardcover. It's one of the cheapest ones I have available at the moment. So now that we've covered the odd angle and why I'm not just cranking it open, let's get started. Sorry about the cough. I've been on live for like an hour or two reading this book over on TikTok. Again, it's one of those books. You gotta read it. It's so good. Chapter 1. Amenhotep. Sire, an innocent was left on the temple steps. An offering of sorts, it seems. One of my advisors whispers to me outside of my netting. I know. I've been listening to the whimpers of it since midday. Have you not fed the imp? No, sire. We were waiting for your decree. Waiting, and yet it only now has been brought to light. Bring it to me. There is a shuffling in the hall, a moment before the bundle is brought into my domain. I push my bug netting aside and motion for them to bring me the sacrifice. Holding him gently, I move his bindings away from his face so I can see him more clearly as my advisors look on, waiting. He's fair, more the color of cooked sugar than anything else. Eyes like the sky and curls the color of sand. How strange are you, tiny one? I coo at the creature as it reaches for my fingers. It's not a girl. A boy, sire. I hold him out for one of my advisors to take him from me. I will keep him. He amuses me. Have him placed with the priests for care. I shall see him on his birthday, and then again on mine. The collective gasps amongst them, and I brush it off. But sire, who is your Pharaoh, your god on earth? You will do as I say. His name is now Amun-Ra. Find the woman still lush but without a baby, and bring her to me. If she wants to give me a sacrifice, it will be from her own body and flesh, not from an innocent just birthed. And they fall away from me and do the bidding. Soon these orders will no longer work. The pharaohs before me did not raise a stupid people. They will notice I have not aged at all in the last 50 years. The old human pharaohs lasted a long lifespan before vampires took over the responsibility without the masses noticing, but even their long lives eventually ended. Soon I will trade out with a prodigy of my own making, as I soon find whoever is suitable for the task. I will take to ground in my pyramid, and then re-enter the world when it has finally forgotten my face. I'll rejoin the masses and take leave of this place, but not yet. Sorry. Maybe once the interesting gifted innocent is an adult and old enough to travel, it may be nice to have a friend to take to ground, especially if he still so closely resembles Sunshine in his coloring later in life. I ponder this while laying out my cushions, shirking out of the headdress that gets so very hot. A woman screaming as she's pushed into my chamber, her punishment going to be a swift one so that I might go and lounge somewhere more private and be fanned. You think it is okay to abandon an innocent life for your pharaoh to devour? I am not nearly the monster you think me to be, my dear. 23 years later. Amun-Ra. You know your duties, Amun-Ra. Twice a year you go and see his grace. I know. It's just unnerving. He doesn't age, I murmur as the priest carefully delouses my hair with a comb his grace gifted me earlier this year on my birthday. What's unnerving is a man of 23 who never cuts his hair, he murmurs back with a smile. He said it reminds him of the sun. I'm not allowed to shave it, I sigh, pushing it out of my face. Not that I hadn't wanted to shave it. It's too hot here, and a wig would be so much easier to manage. Not that Amenhotep has ever let me leave the temple. I'm stuck here just like he is. The priest taps my head with the comb and comes around for me to face him. Are your robes properly tied? He does not need to be exposed to the human body. I stand and let him examine me for any faults I might have. Make sure to give him his gift this year. I have saved you from it for as long as I could. I nod and linger as long as I can, watching the sunset on the Nile. As the last rays disappear, I know it's time. I make my way down the familiar halls until I come to his sanctified chambers. He has ruled from these rooms ever since his era began, never going. Not once has he left. I knock softly, knowing full well he knows I'm here without my knuckles touching the stone. Come in, Ra-Ra. I grind my teeth at the nickname and enter. Sire, happy day. His grin brings heat to my face as he sees me. I've always cared for red robes on you. It brings out the gold in your hair. His voice is soft as he lounges on his cushions. His mantle was removed as well as his formal wear, only in a comfortable day shift. I was hoping you would let me play with your golden strands this year as my present. Without a word, I position myself in front of his cushions and then lean back until my head is in his lap, hair fanned out for his pleasure, hands instantly immersing themselves. He had asked for nothing but this on his birthday for the last 2 years. He had changed then. His advisors had whispered to the monks while they thought I was sleeping. The Pharaoh now had shine in his eyes when I was present. He began sending baubles and trinkets, forbade me from cutting my hair at all, whereas before he had let me at least have it trimmed up to my shoulders. He became very relaxed where he had been formal with me before. Once we met both fully robed in formal attire. Now it is just I, as he reclines in sleepwear. I was told that at one point in time he had even suggested leaving his chambers to come seek me out. He had changed. The demanding Pharaoh had let the act drop in front of the infant he had taken in and mostly ignored. But he honestly scares me. His unaging face never showed a single year. It is always the same, as is his body. It gives me chills to be around, even in the heat of the desert night. Amenhotep. Sire, what else could I give you? Normally, Amun-Ra's eyes stayed on the wall as he drifted to sleep, while I finger the locks he has so carefully maintained for me. But tonight, his sky eyes find themselves on my own. He is my destined. I know this, even if he does not. I choose not to tell him. I will never force him. I wanted him to love me on his own. I know he does not at this time, not for all the glittering trinkets in the world. So for now, I am content that he still humors my yearly request to spend a few hours together. It is enough. I am happy with your company, Ra, to have you relaxing with me. I will not ask for more. His face fills with pink and I can hear his heart flutter. What if I wanted to give you something special, my lord? Proceed, Ra. I watch him as he sits up and turns towards me. He pulls a small chalice from inside his robes with a small dagger. I know you prefer to have your sacrifices given to you while still in the body. You drink the god's nutrition from the source, but the thought has me scared that I won't last long enough for you, for years to come. He slits his hand open, and the sweet scent of his essence fills the room, invading my invading my senses. Oh, the nectar in his veins smells sweeter to me than the clay from the Nile's banks. His hand tips over the chalice, and I watch the dripping ensue. As soon as he is satisfied with his offering, he bows and bends until his nose is nearly on the floor at my feet, holding the cup up to me. I was always meant to be your sacrifice. Let me sustain you, my lord. His gift puzzles me, but also makes my heart sing with joy. I have hungered for him and only him for so long. Amun-Ra's point of view. He takes a cup from me and to my surprise sets it aside. Come here, Amun-Ra. His voice just a whisper that sends chills up my spine. I do as I'm told and crawl onto his cushions, careful not to stain them with my palm. His hands find my face and pull me up to look at him, breathing completely escaping me. You are not my sacrifice. You are my destiny. He bites his own finger and draws forth his own essence, the red so much darker than my own, and then carefully wipes it along my self-inflicted injury. The pain vanishes and the cut closes itself. These were the powers of the Pharaoh. Chapter 2. Amun-Ra. The hiss stirs my Amun-Ra, as in his point of view. Sorry about that. Tongue-tied. Amun-Ra! The hiss stirs my groggy mind as I wake to the sound of my name. In the middle of the night, you would think the occupants here would rather be sleeping so that they can rise with the sun to pray for the upcoming harvest to be just as lush as it looks in the fields. What? Your Grace is in need of you. Be silent and go to him. The advisor hissing at me nearly pulls me from my bed in the effort to get me going, despite the priest's objections to my summons. More and more of them are waking as I am pulled from my bedding and stood on my unsteady feet, nothing but my shift to keep me warm in the cool night air, confusion heavy on my mind. There hasn't been a night so odd that His Highness has requested my presence outside of the visits on his birthday and on mine. As impulsive as the Pharaoh is known to be, he never willingly sees anyone more than he has to. I was to see him on my birthday, and he was to see me on his. His day of celebration passed days ago, and had ended so oddly, and mine is not for many, many moons. Get up! He said to come to him as you are. Do not bother with the robes. I looked down at my night shift. He had never seen me without layer upon layer of formal robes. The priest have always taught me that to respect him, I must never falter in the presentation of myself. And now to be told to run to him without even bothering to dress in the slightest? That must be truly an emergency. Amenhotep's point of view. I feel so inconsolable. I'm sorry, I have a lash falling or something, and it's getting to me. And I'm not going to edit this out because we can't edit out reading mishaps. We just go with it. And again, actually not again, you're not going to see the last edit of this because my dryer beeped. I don't know how to edit videos, so we're doing these in one shot, completely. I'm going to add on a header, and then you're probably going to see a little logo in the corner at the end of this. That just is how my life is going right now, until I learn. Okay, back to the chapter now that the eyelash has fallen. Amenhotep's point of view. I feel so inconsolable, so desperately lost that every fiber of my being aches with my need of Amun-Ra, the need to see his face, to smell his scent and let it burn my heart with its lush spiciness, and to feel the strands of his sun-spun hair glide between my fingers smoother than the silk and cotton that made up every garment that touches my body. I want to taste his essence on my tongue and connect us more thoroughly than anyone could ever imagine soulmates could be bound. I can hear his heart pounding as my advisors rush him down the hall. It's been thundering ever since he left my chambers the other day, and I cannot say that my own heart hasn't been racing the very same pace. Okay. Sorry, folks, I got the hair. It's gone now. My panic matches his own when I hear him call for me when he gets close enough, his normally silent footfalls echoing so loudly over the stones as he draws nearer. Ever since I allowed myself to drain the goblet he had gifted me, it feels as though this old body has turned into the most raging of fires, and it has felt as though I've been moving about with the biggest of ceremonial blades sticking out from my chest with how devastated I feel over passing up the chance to sample the life that flows through his veins, directly from the source. But I know that I could not trust myself in the moment. I had been moved and confused and dazed by the scent of him hanging so heavily in the air. After missing him for so many seasons, after not being able to run to him with every thought that passes through my mind of his beauty and gentle kindness. Sire! Rara, is that you? Did you truly come to me, or is this delusion? The figure standing in the doorway hesitates, his delicate aura taunting me with how shyly he stands there before an advisor behind him gives him a shove that makes me see red. No one should be touching Amun-Ra but I. Not a single person living should be anywhere near him but I. And after tonight, he shall know that no one else ever will. That unless he wishes otherwise, he shall always be protected, for he walks around with my heart in his hands, even though I have not yet been entombed. It is hard for me to keep collection over myself, but I try my hardest seeing the confusion and fear on my Rara's face. I know that this must be so frightening for him, being led into my chambers with all the advisors awake and buzzing about me like flies, trying to soothe the mania that has come with the aching in my chest, that comes with my need to have Amun-Ra right by my side once more, instead of hiding myself away from him so that he might not notice how the passing of time flows around me, but never actually changes me. It is me. I am here, he mutters to me, keeping his position just inside the door, his voice nearly drowned out by the flustered behavior of those around him. He hesitates to move closer to me, even though it is what I want most desperately. But I can understand why he seems so rooted to the spot, with the whispers in the room turning to shouting as the others debate what must be done to calm me and the way I've crumbled on myself in longing. What is wrong with him? He questions my ever-present advisors, the concern dripping from his voice moving, even though not a single one of them actually hears him. They knew I wanted his presence, and so far I've done nothing to actually accommodate my request. I told them that I wanted to speak to him, and yet they talk over him and assume that they know what is truly on my mind when they have never, not once, seen me so disheveled. He has not seen me this way. No one has. No one should ever see me this way, thirsting for the living essence of my soulmate and unable to claim it. Not if I wanted to keep my cover as a mortal god walking amongst men here to lead and guide them so that the prosperity and fertility of the people and the land last and protect them from the nations that would dismantle us all. Someone dares to speak to my suite. A single advisor had bothered to listen, and even then, the man seems to think he knows my mind better than I do when I have already told them of all of my needs. I'm surrounded by ignorant advisors who think they can speak on my condition. I cut them off. Out! Everyone but Amun-Ra is to leave this room and not return until I request it. Chapter 3. Amun-Ra's point of view. I had never seen him so manic. I've never seen anyone quite so disturbed that they simply find themselves sitting on their cushions, rocking back and forth in an effort to try and soothe themselves after having such an outburst. He sits on his pile of pillows in a set of untied robes, face flushed, mantle hanging off his body as he holds himself. He is in such a total disarray, and yet he wants to be alone with me. As the royal advisors whisper amongst themselves and start to leave us as ordered, I am not sure I feel safe being left alone with the ruler of our great land, with him looking at me with such madness in his eyes, such untouchable madness, a desire I cannot quite comprehend. Pharaoh! The look in his eyes truly disturbs me, all the color having given way to pure darkness. The inky blackness of his orbs as he stares at me drains the life from my very soul. Is this our ruler possessed by a god? If so, who am I in the presence of? My fated. Do away with that word, please. Call me Amenhotep, or whatever you please. Just as long as you know that I am bent to your will, and that I am ready to hear anything other than the formalities from your lips. He beckons me with long, slender fingers to come to his bedding, and when I do dare wander closer, I find myself pulled down onto one of his larger cushions. The one that he normally reserves for himself in the daytime during the longer meetings with his advisors, at least from what I have gathered from him asking me to arrive on our birthdays earlier and earlier throughout the years. He handles me like I am a shard of pottery, ever delicate in his grasp as he arranges me, almost as though he's trying to assure himself of my comfort in his presence. Suddenly, I find myself feeling so very aware because it dawns on me that is exactly how he must see me. A delicate mortal that he has never been able to truly connect with, because just as he is a tool for the gods in the heavens to communicate with us here in our realm, I am also a tool. A delicate shard of pottery indeed compared to his own strength, wisdom, and unaging ways, but still a tool no less. A tool that must look extremely small and breakable, an amusement he has kept around like a puppy or a kitten, nothing more than a pet that he has watched grow over the years, that he'd now possibly like to rid himself of. Amenhotep's point of view. I watch as my beloved's face falls, his eyes looking everywhere and anywhere other than myself, his beautiful complexion tinted pink while he keeps his arms wrapped around himself as though he's still uncomfortable despite being on my most comfortable cushion. Is something wrong, Ra? I know that clearly something is, even if he did not expect me to notice, judging from the look of surprise on his face. But I am hoping that maybe it is just our current state of undress together, or the fact that he was rushed here and told that I was in distress, which I am, but the ache consuming my being is for him, and him alone, and is soothed just by being in his presence. Oh, how I yearn for him to look at me in the same light that I see him in, that deep down he could feel the connection that revealed itself in his 20th year, that he knows inside that we are meant to be together, and that there is reason that fate drove his mother to leave him for me as an offering all those years ago. I am no god, sire. My will is not enough to even make you turn your head, Pharaoh Amenhotep. And yet, you're saying that you would allow me to drop our formalities. It would not be right for me to forget my place. He uses full formality, something that sends cold shivers down my spine and a bolt of frustration straight to my heart, making it falter. I understand that you do not understand what is happening just yet, and possibly never will, but it would please me to see us on equal terms. I can see the questions floating in his eyes, questions that I want him to ask, so that I might answer them and put that ever-curious mind of his at ease with me. Please, call me Ahmed, or Tep, or whatever you please, but please do not think your station lower than mine, my love. I can never be equal to a pharaoh, a god. My sweet soulmate seems to only retreat further into his shyness, and it leaves me wanting to reach out to him to show how treasured he is, even if my words alarm him. Amenhotep. Point of view, Chapter 4. True, but you bring one to his knees every time you pass through his thoughts. Every time your likeness is brought to him on a piece of pottery, or woven into a blanket or rug or wall hanging, You make the god a mortal man with a heart that bellows like smoke, and blood that runs faster and hotter than the Nile through his weak old veins. His words shock me and make me feel even more bashful than I ever have been in his presence before, and I find myself trying to arrange on the cushions that I had been helped onto so that my sleep shift might cover just a bit more of my body. If only so that I can put an end to the feel of his eyes roaming me, trying to make sense of my reaction. I had thought I was being rushed here in order to soothe a madman, but instead, I find myself presented with a possessed ruler who seems to want nothing more than to assure that I understand that I have some mysterious hold over this godling. What do you want from me so late, sire? An offering? You rejected the last time I attempted to offer myself to you. You pushed me out of your chambers faster than the current of the Nile that you claim to be so rivaled by the flowing of your own essence through your veins, and sent me to my rooms. He had done so fast that I was almost left unable to understand I was being told to head back to my own chamber for the night and not return. Wait! You seem to have misunderstood my motives that evening. The great ruler of our nation sees fit to launch himself off the cushion, holding him so that he might draw himself closer to me, one of his hands finding one of my knees. The coolness of his palms brings forth dimples in the flesh that he can likely feel through the thin barrier that my shift serves as. I sent you away, for I did not trust myself to drink your essence with you in the room with me. I did not want to lose control of myself and hurt you. I never want to hurt you, my love. I was simply saving you from witnessing me lose myself in your taste and possibly my control. His voice seemed so earnest, his dark eyes never leaving me, though I cannot tell which part of me that he is actually looking at, his hand traveling of its own accord to touch just a bit higher than it had been upon its initial landing, and then slightly lower. A soothing rhythm that starts slow and seems to have the only intention of leaving us both a little bit more comfortable than we had been a moment ago. The very same strange feeling of tingles seeping into my flesh as when his fingertips grazed my scalp on our birthdays. I do not mean to frighten you, Amun-Ra. I know that it must have been startling to be summoned in the middle of your evening, but I found myself in desperate need of your company. I needed to simply be near you and finally inform you of what you truly mean to me, for I can bite my tongue on the matter no longer. I needed to express to you the fire you light within my being, and ask you to acknowledge it, to accept the bond that I know you feel is lingering between us every time we get near each other, and why the way that your offering made the very core of my being nearly explode with its sweetness. I needed to tell you this, and it could not wait for either one of us to be another year older. He says the words with the most genuine nervousness that I have ever seen from him. I was not aware that gods could be nervous at all, and yet here he is giving my leg a squeeze, as though he is using the gesture to calm his own nerves. You would like to demand an offering, sire? For what else could be making him so affected? The bond that he speaks of. I can only imagine it must be how he views me as his personal living sacrifice, or at least that is how I allow myself to interpret his words based off of every single thing the priests have taught me over the years preparing me for this day. Not unless the offering you give is a confession of... Not unless the offering that you give is a confession of you. I give myself a pause, and I can't even get the sentence right coming back to it. That is living life with an adult stutter. Not unless the offering you give is a confession that your feelings rival mine, that you find yourself moved and emotional, because you do feel what is between us, and maybe just have not understood that it was perfectly acceptable for you to act upon it. His words are so extremely thoughtful that they leave me taken aback, and I catch myself just moments away from lowering my hand where it had been, aiding in keeping my side shielded and warm, down so that I might hold his hand as it trembles on the lower part of my thigh. The way his voice struggles to stay even while he continues, drawing even more heat and color to my face. Is there anything I can do for you that I'm not already doing? What am I to do, Ra? Please, tell me that you love me. The Pharaoh's voice cracks just at the end of his sentence, and for a moment I wonder if the immortal in front of me is capable of creating tears just as humans do. I think it so strange that we have lived in this palace together for so long, but I do not even know if he is capable of shedding a single tear. Just the scent of you alone is enough to drive me mad, but I've got no idea if I have any real effect on you at all, or if the whispers I hear between you and the priests are truly how you perceive me, that you feel disgusted by me wanting to be near you, repulsed by me wanting to touch you and hold you closer than any lover should ever be allowed to. His words lick me raw and leave me feeling more emotional than I could have ever thought I would feel comfortable displaying. How could he know? How could he know that he frightens me more than any amount of affection could ever overcome, and that I cannot find the words inside of me to explain exactly why that is the case? For he has been nothing but kind towards me, and yet it chills me to my core every time I am summoned here and then be made to walk away as if it was perfectly normal that he sits before us unaging and stagnant when the passage of time seems to ravage the rest of us. You're unnatural. You want affection. Age and live like a normal man. Get married to a nice woman. At least take on concubines like a normal pharaoh. Do something to at least keep up the appearance of not being otherworldly. How can anyone love something that shouldn't be walking this earth? My words are cruel, the wrong way chosen to defend myself from the uncomfortable swelling in my chest over his speech. I want nothing more than to pull myself from under his hand and flee, but I feel trapped by the coal black eyes now on display, more pain in them than I've ever seen anyone. Back it up. I want nothing more than to pull myself from under his hand and flee, but I feel trapped by the cold black eyes that now display more pain than I've ever seen on anyone before in my entire life. Chapter 5, our last chapter for the evening before I clock out and give my voice a rest. Chapter 5, Amun-Ra. You were right. I am not natural. Not in the same sense that you are speaking of, my love. No pharaoh has been in a very long time. His voice takes on such a melancholy tone when he speaks that I find myself frozen in his grasp, his gaze shifting to what seems to be the floor. It scares me. The whispered words are out of my mouth before I have the chance to filter them, but it does not make them any less true. The words he continues to say to me are having an awful effect on the beating of my heart, and it becomes so much harder for me to try not to reach down and take his hand in mine so that I might erase some of the sorrow I see out of his expression. So moved he has left me, and so very confused. I do not know what to make of the feel of his hand on my knee, and I do not know how I feel about wanting to comfort the man that scares me so very much with his agelessness, with his unnerving calm, and almost all of the interactions we've had together culminated into this evening's fevered greetings. But I do know that his hand creeps higher on my thigh. I cannot seem to keep the color from rising even more in my face. I cannot keep my heart from racing. I feel as though he can hear every single pump of the organ as it sounds away in my chest. I feel as though he can sense the flow of my ichor as it runs through my veins. It may scare you. He is quick to give himself pause and adjust his tone so that he might sound softer as he addresses me. I think maybe it excites you. It makes you wonder, and it fills your mind with ideas and questions of what I might be, why I do not age, and why I look at you the way I do. I have heard your questions to the priests, and I know that they have not truly been able to give you any answers. I just wish that you would. His voice drops as his eyes take the very skin off of my body as he sees through me right down to my soul. I feel as though he is staring right through me, and I wish so very much that his eyes had not risen to meet mine. Now when I have no idea which way my heart is leaning, or why it feels so very unsteady in the first place. It should not be leaning at all. The Pharaoh unnerves me, and if he knows he unnerves me, why must he make me uncomfortable by bringing it to both of our attention that he knows? The only thing that he has managed to express to me is that he knows I know that he is not like the rest of us. And now he is even stranger since he has admitted to me that he knows he is not normal. How would you claim to know what frightens me? You are no man. You are a God that walks among us and is free to say whether or not he finds the sacrificial life he chose to keep instead of consuming valuable or not. And I shall never claim to not be of value to you, because I know that my life was always meant to be yours. I just wish that you would not hesitate in taking it. Claim what is yours, or leave me be. I am trying to claim what is mine. You are my fated, and you have not heard a single word. I want you, Amun-Ra. I have wanted you to seek me out as a lover, as a friend. Confide in me. Lean on me. Become mine, for I know that you are meant to be mine. Yes, the Nile of life that flows through your vein was gifted to me by your mother, but only because she sensed the connection between us and could not understand that we were not meant to meet so soon. But she couldn't bring herself to keep you from me. She knew that you would grow into the man meant to walk by my side as my soulmate. She knew that our fate was written in the stars and decided to spare us the pain of having to look for each other later in your life after you've hit maturity. You're there now. You're here. His gaze heats me from the inside like the sun pooling inside my belly. His words melting down the gold I had tried to shield my heart with, only to collect it for me and lay it so carefully at my feet. I have known for years that I have wanted you. All of you. But I cannot force you to be mine. I can only hope that you start to hear the words I say, and take the time to think on them before you decide to break this old heart of mine. For it is yours, and yours alone to break. If you wish me to leave you in truth, I shall. But if this is simply you not having enough of your questions answered to not be fearful of my differentness, please ask your questions so that we might move past this and find comfort in the fact that we shall not have to stray far to find each other. His figure dips and moves so that he might sit between my legs and look at me, my shift being raised just enough so that his hand might make true contact with my thigh, sending a very new and different sensation rushing through my being. Please, think on it before you answer me, Amun-Ra. Please do not rush to judge things you do not understand yet. And that is the end of chapter 5 of Pharaoh. If that is not enough to convince you to go and read the book, I don't know if there's anything I can say outside of the fact that his reincarnation is also a really cute mixed guy. I don't know what else to tell you. Maybe the fact that there is a very intense ancient Egyptian bathtub scene in the future chapters that you have to read through the book and find. Maybe that would be enough. But until then, here's one self-care tip for the road, just like last week's wash your face before bed. You only really need to wash your hair in cold water if it's dyed. Stop torturing yourself. Just wash your hair in lukewarm and you will be fine. I promise that one magazine you read in the 90s is defunct. It has no relevant beauty tips for this day and age. Stop torturing yourself with cold shower water. You deserve better.